Okay, guys. Yeah, let's start it. Already 2 minutes over. Who want to join late? Let them join. So today we are going to start Spring MVC. Okay, Spring MVC means yeah, it is mostly used some of the projects in olden days. Now most of the projects are in Spring Boot only, but most of whatever the annotations that we are using, flow, everything is like common for in case of Spring Boot also. Okay, like the flows controller, service layer, DAO layer, repository layer, and annotations that we are going to use, all the annotations which are used, Spring MVC, and in Spring Boot is also only some new annotations added for to start the server. Okay, those new only very less annotations are added in the Spring Boot, but the functionalities are more. Okay, now coming to Spring MVC, what is Spring MVC? So already we have discussed about what is MVC, guys. What is mean by MVC? Model View Controller. Correct. So in case of servlets, the controller is servlet, right? Correct or not? Controller is the servlet. Every request will come to the controller. Sorry, in the servlet. Okay, whenever you are clicking on any form, in case of online MVC, online banking application is there, right? If you are clicking on login form or register form and click on any button, it will come to some particular servlet based on the action which we are giving in the JSP, right or not? But in case of Spring MVC, it is little different. Okay, it is a little different compared to that. So but the controller is only one controller is there. Okay, that is called we'll call it as a dispatcher servlet. Okay, in case of Spring MVC, we'll call it as a dispatcher servlet. We'll call that dispatcher servlet as a front controller also. Okay, every request from the client, any request, okay, first the dispatch servlet will receive the request. Okay, any request that is coming from client, the first the request will be received by dispatcher servlet only. Okay, the dispatcher servlet internally it will check with which controller or which servlet, so it should execute based on the URL pattern. It will identify that internally. It will use of some handler mapping. Okay, that will see. So that is of controller. Okay, the request first it will come to controller. Okay, so and how the data is coming from the client to controller. Okay, in the form of model, in the form of model attribute. Model means let's say in case of registration we have some four fields is there. Okay, with the four fields we will create one entity or one bean class. Okay, and that bean class will be sent to the client. That bean class object will be sent to the client by creating one model object. Okay, whenever we are retrieving data from the client, okay, if we are adding model attribute in the form, model attribute in the form, then whatever the fields that are part of that form, under that form, employee ID, name, salary, email, or whatever the password, everything. Okay, all that fields will be mapped to the model attribute. Okay, then we no need to use of like request.get parameter of your that parameter name or username, password, like that. We don't need to get all the fields. Okay, through model attribute we'll get all the data whatever there in the form, that is used for as a model attribute. Okay, and if you want to send the data to client or if you want to retrieve the data from client to controller, both the ways the model class will be used. Okay, and what is view? View means we will call it as a JSPs. We'll call it as a JSPs, which we are going to use for rendering the data to the client. Now here also, the in case of Spring MVC, we have separate class is there. How exactly which JSP I need to execute? In case of a normal MVC applications, directly we are added our JSPs in the under web content, right? Here also we will add, but the controller don't know which JSP it will execute. The controller will give the logical name. It will give the just name of the JSP. No prefix, no suffix, where exactly it is located, all that information you don't know. Okay, the controller will give some name. Based on that, the dispatcher servlet will identify where exactly this logical JSP name is available. Okay, that we'll discuss through practically now also. And the annotations mostly will use in case of Spring MVC will use of at controller, at request mapping, or the most generalized annotations also came, that also will see. And at qualifier, at service, at repository, these are some mostly used annotations in. Even already you have seen these annotations, right or not, guys? You have seen these annotations or not? Even in case of the new annotations which you are seeing is at a controller, at request mapping. If you want to either post mapping or put mapping, in that case we can use of some generalized annotations also there. If you are calling of get method, then directly we can use of get mapping. If it is a post mapping, means post mapping. Like that we have some generalized, okay, specific methods also. Instead of using of generalized annotation, we can use of specific annotations also. Okay, that also we'll see now how exactly the spring flow will work. Okay, now let me first we'll go for one sample application, and then we'll come to this diagram. Okay, let me create a one sample application. Okay, how we are creating before, guys? Maven project. It, maybe, yeah, if we are using this one, then we need to give all the things. Okay, instead of that, go for here. Instead of quick start project, go to Maven archetype as a web app. Okay, click on next. Give, that is a package name. Give some spring first project. Okay, now if you want to change the package name, or else you can change anything. So just give that. Now see, first it is giving us some error. Okay, let's go and verify why it is giving error. Just keep it. It is of some JSP. It is available. This is the JSP, right? That JSP jar file is not available. So we need to add dependency for that. Okay, how to add JSP dependency, guys? Here it is coming. What is the error? It is coming here. It is some JSP, right? It is giving some the superclass java.servlet.http servlet was not found in the Java build path. Okay, the jar file is not available in this project. So we need to add JSP dependency. Okay, now let's start it. If you are adding the dependency, then it will go on that. Okay, let's wait. We need of some servlet and JSP. Okay, and we need of some spring MVC related also. Okay, spring MVC and spring web and spring MVC, these two dependencies for time being added. Now add it, and we are using of instead of we can use either this one, or directly we can use of this version in place of spring boot version here. Okay, in case of this also we can use, or you can use of properties, and then we can give some property name, tag name, and then the version which we are going to use it. Now let's save it. It will download all the dependencies. Now the error is gone. Okay, now you can see all the libraries also. Java resources, libraries. Yeah, see, all these are down added from the Maven repository. Okay, now it is in the Java 1.5 version, the project. Now change it to build path. Okay, now it is clear. Now just without running anything, just run that application. Just I have added dependencies and just running whether this page will open or not. Okay, with this message run as run on server. Good. And one more thing, guys, whenever we are working with Spring Means, there is a lot of compatibility issues will come. Okay, it is of more headache to maintain of the pom.xml file in case of MVC. If you are maintaining more dependencies, means compulsory one dependency will be depending on some other dependency with same type of jar. Okay, the compatibility version. If it is a different type of version, or let's say if you are using of Maven 4, okay, sorry, Spring 4, okay, then it may not work in Oracle 19c. Okay, if you are going for a Spring 5, then it may work in Spring or Oracle. Like that, they're compulsory. We need to go with the compatibility version. To find out the compatible version of libraries in Spring is a very big hectic. Okay, so but in case of Spring Boot, we can overcome all those things. That is one big advantage in Spring Boot. Okay, we'll see that later. Now see that directly on click on run. On click on, if you want, just stop it and stop the. Guys, do you people know how to add the server in the Eclipse, right? Right or not? Okay. Now, so just right click on this. If project is not there, we can add also. Just run on server. I have added Tomcat 9 Spring first project. Defaultly, it will take up index.jsp. Okay, and nothing is here also. Okay, now we'll start one controller. Okay, we'll start one controller or something will write off. Let's say anchor tag ref welcome or some message whatever it is. Okay, here all controller. Just I'm giving up one hyperlink here. Okay, if you are clicking on this, I'm calling up some welcome action. Okay, now for this action we need to write one controller class. Now go to Java class, create some package com.ibc, some welcome controller first. Okay, so click on finish it. Now this is a controller class. Okay, now the package structure will be dot controller. Sorry. We need to write multiple packages. Okay, at controller. Okay. So if it is a controller class, means compulsory we should annotate that with at controller annotation. This is the specialized annotation for controller class. Earlier days we are using more generic component that is called at component annotation. Okay, but later the Spring people are segregated for to identifying the layers. To identifying the layers for controller, they have added at the controller annotation. Okay, now and view model and view one class is there. Okay, it can store the data as well as the JSP name both. Okay, now welcome or hello. Okay. Now after this, so what I want to do, so I want to model and view mv equal to new model and view. Okay. before that before that, or else if you want, let it be, and add it inside this, we can have a dot add with three parameters. It has some object method. One, two only is there. Model and view. Is it correct or not? Yeah. Memory dot set attribute add and guys. There is a method that we need to, yes, add object. Okay, add object. Let's go here. So here we can give whatever the JSP name that you are going to give, that we can give inside this one. Welcome dot. Just to give the, don't give any extension. Just to give the name of the JSP. That's it. Okay. And what data you want to go inside that JSP. Then in that case, add object of attribute name. Give some message of message, and give some any value with this variable. The data can be stored inside that model attribute. Okay, just give welcome to string, just assume. Okay, some message. Now, so I have added this message object, message variable with the key. This is the key and this is the value. I want this variable and this value inside this JSP. Okay. Now we need to create a one JSP. We need to create one JSP. JSP welcome dot JSP. Give some name and finish it. Now here, while we are getting the data, we need to use of dollar symbol and message and message. Okay, there is some compatibility issues there. I'm telling now only. Okay, even if you are trying for the same, also it will give error. Okay, yeah, it is done. Now go to controller. It is expecting of return type is model and view object. I am going to return MV RETU and return MV. Now, so how exactly it is going to identify that? How exactly it is going to identify means, we need to write the web.xml file. First, the web.xml file will load that. Okay, now create one web.xml file. Instead of creating, just I am copy pasting of the content here. if we are generating if we are generating the deployment descriptor, then it is not, this is the older version of this is the older way of creating the DTD as part of web.xml file. Okay, now this is not supporting for the new JSPs. Okay, if you are using the latest version of JSP somewhere, if you are using that, then this is a DTD is not working. Okay, now let's add it. Now, why I have, what is this? Here in case of servlet, let's say go for servlet, guys. Go for servlet. Let's time being remove this one. Okay, remove this one. Okay, now in case of servlet, how to map that servlet inside web.xml, guys? In case of servlet, if new servlet is created in our code, then we need to configure in the web.xml file. Is it correct or not? Right or not? There we are, for each and every servlet, we need to create one servlet and servlet mapping for each and every servlet class which we are going to create in case of servlet application. But in case of Spring MVC, we will configure only one servlet and one servlet mapping. Okay, every request will be received by this servlet only. Every request in the Spring will be received by dispatcher servlet only. This will route to the different controller which we are writing. Okay, first, but by default every request which is coming from the client, by default will be received by dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet will reroute that request to the appropriate controller class. Okay, that we'll see now. So whatever the name that you are giving here, also you need to remember, guys, bit careful. The servlet name whatever you are giving, okay, here I given as dispatcher servlet. The servlet mapping I have given as also compulsory, these two must match. But whenever we are creating of the configuration file, okay, that time by default container server will search for whatever the name that we are giving here, servlet name, dispatcher hyphen servlet. By default if you are giving test here, okay, here also test, then server will search for test hyphen servlet.xml. If you are giving here as dispatcher, then server will search for dispatcher hyphen servlet.xml file is the configuration file. Internally it will treat that. Okay, for that, now copy paste. How it will be, let me show you that. Yeah, now inside web.xml file, add it. Now, yeah, now where I have added welcome.jsp, I think we need to add one folder. Okay, add for JSP separate folder view. Okay, it is a JSP, right? We can move this to view folder. Okay, or JSP. Now, so we have, in case of Spring Core, we are seeing some config.xml for a bin.xml file, right or not, guys? Here also, everything is same. Okay, everything is same, but we need to add up one extra namespace. This is for MVC. Okay, and this is the schema location. Okay, the rest of things is common. Okay, and along with that, we need to add up before we are using up all ID, all those things, right? Now in this case, we need to use of view resolver. What is this view resolver means? Where exactly the JSPs are available, that configuration, okay, the prefix and suffix, exactly it will add by the view resolver to the our logical name. Okay, for time being, remember the bean id I have given as view resolver. Okay, and what is the class of it? Is not a our class, it is of a Spring class. What is that? Internal resource view resolver. How exactly you are going to give up some name? Where is that? Let's go on the controller class. Here this is the, I'm telling, this is the JSP name. I'm giving the logical name to the dispatcher servlet. Okay, and one more thing, guys, let me first tell me the let me explain the steps. Okay, the first request will be received by the dispatcher servlet class. Okay, first request will be received by dispatcher servlet class. Okay, not this. Yeah, dispatcher servlet class, the request will be received by dispatcher servlet. Okay, let's say assume I have added up this. Where is that? Yeah, if I'm clicking on this link, let's open. Don't worry, guys, if any error is coming also. Okay, Yeah. Now what is coming? This is of some anchor tag which we had added. Okay. Close others. Let me. Inside this, by default, this index.jsp is executed. So along with this hello world, so below it is coming as this message. Click here to call controller. So whenever we are clicking, it is a hyperlink. A means anchor link. A means anchor link. Okay. Now, if I am clicking on this link, okay, what is the action it is taking here? Welcome, right? Welcome. Now, click on that. If you are getting error also, no worry. Now, we don't have the action for that. Now, go to controller class. So here we have written the controller, but we have not written that the request URI, the endpoint, the endpoint. What is the welcome? This is the actual endpoint of that our controller. Okay. Now, how do it map means by using of at request mapping. I want to map that request in the welcome controller to particular method by using of at request mapping. Okay. Inside this add welcome. Okay. Now if the same type of one more method is also there, welcome one, just assume. Okay. Welcome one. Okay. Now let's add sys hello method. Okay. Now it is a hello one method. Let's hello one method, just assume. Okay, but the JSP is same. So now how exactly the dispatcher servlet will identify the endpoint to which method I should execute, either this method or this method. So that is based on the URL here, action which you are going to give. It will search with the same. Okay, how internally once it is click on that button. Okay, once the click on that button, the request will be received by dispatcher servlet. Once the dispatcher servlet receive the request, it will take the help of handler mapping. It will take the help of handler mapping classes. There are some Spring classes. Okay, URL based handler mapping, simple handler mapping. There are some internal handler mapping classes is available in Spring framework. Okay, by using those classes, dispatcher servlet will identify the which controller class should execute. Okay, this handler mapping classes will give the controller class name to the dispatcher servlet. It will give that name of the controller to dispatcher servlet class. Okay, once that controller class is given, then dispatcher servlet will identify that which method it should execute. That will based on this welcome. Whichever the method in this welcome controller class is having welcome request mapping. Okay, welcome slash welcome request mapping, then that method will execute. Okay, now let's go on debug also. Once that method is executed, it is giving some name of the JSP which it is rendering to the client, that it will give in the form of logical name. It is not the full JSP name, it is not a physical JSP name, just it will give the logical name of the JSP. Just logical name means just welcome. Just assume welcome is the JSP name. Okay, I don't know what is the extension of this one and where exactly it is available also, that I don't know. Okay, so the controller, it is going to give only the name of the JSP, logical name of the JSP, not extension, not with the prefix and not with the suffix. Okay, only name of the JSP. Now after that, after once model and object is returned back to dispatcher servlet, the dispatcher servlet will give every time the request will come back to dispatcher servlet. Okay, so dispatch servlet will ask dispatcher servlet will ask view resolver. Dispatcher servlet will ask view resolver. So I got up some logical name of the JSP. Can you please give me the full and final of the path of the JSP name? Okay. Then view resolver, how it will identify means, go to inside this. Okay, whatever that we have, this is the prefix for our logical name. This is the prefix for our logical name. Okay, and the suffix for that, the suffix and suffix for that JSP is dot JSP. Okay, this will be added, the suffix and prefix will be added to the logical name of the JSP. And the view resolver will return, yeah, this is the physical location of the JSP page, where exactly the JSP is available inside the project. Full, this will give, the view resolver will give, by adding a prefix and suffix to that logical name, it will give this full name to the full name back to dispatcher servlet, and dispatcher servlet will send that JSP to the view, to the client. Okay, the client will render that JSP to the in the browser. Okay, let's read it. Dispatcher select will take the help of handler mapping and get to know the controller class. Okay, name annotated with that given request. Okay, after that, so the request transferred to the controller. Here, everything will come to the control dispatcher select only. Dispatcher select only will delegate the request to the appropriate controller class, view resolver, all those things. Okay, once the controller is process the request, okay, by executing the appropriate methods, it will return model and view object. Model and view object, it will return type is model and view. Okay, it will return model and view object back to the dispatcher servlet. Okay, and it contains of only the logical name, and internally this model attribute contains of some data as well. Okay, now I want to display this message inside this JSP, but I don't know exactly the location of this welcome.jsp. Okay, now go to dispatcher select. Where is that? Yeah. Now here model and view will return the logical JSP to the dispatcher select. Dispatcher select will give that logical name to the view resolver. I don't know where exactly the location of physical JSP. Please give the physical JSP name by adding prefix and suffix to the logical name. Then view resolver will attach that prefix and suffix to the logical name, and it will return that JSP back to the dispatcher select, and that dispatcher select will return that JSP back to the client to render the response. Okay, that's what the steps, guys. Now let's run it. If you understood this one, the rest of the, in case of connecting the databases, all are already we have seen that. Okay, that I will show you. Welcome, why it is welcome.jsp is not identified. Let's go and see here. What is here? Views. Okay, it is of views, but it is, what is here, guys? What is here? It is not identify the full path. Rename it. It is of view is there. Change it to views. Now run the project again. No, no, it is not extension of JSP. It is a one class is there in the Spring. Okay, it is not. It is. It can give anything. What happened? One second. Yeah, yeah. Here we are giving. These are. This is one class. This name can be anything. Okay, but defaultly it will understood this name. View resolver name. The container will understood this name. So this is the object of internal resource. This is a Spring class. It is not our class. It will give that where exactly our JSP file is there in the project. To identify that, the Spring container means the dispatcher servlet will take the help of internal resource view resolver. Can you give me the logical name is there for me? So I don't know where exactly the location of JSP. If it the logical name is giving to the internal resource view resolver, then for that logical name it will add the prefix and suffix, and that with that full path it will return back to the dispatcher servlet. Then dispatcher servlet will have that full path of the physical JSP. Okay, that JSP will render to the client. Let's say what is this class going to return? One second. Yeah, this class is returning this name, only the welcome name, right? Now for this name, welcome.jsp, this is also correct. So once that is dispatch servlet asking the view resolver, okay, so how exactly right now the dispatch servlet is giving only dispatch servlet is giving to the view resolver only this name welcome. I don't, but it is a JSP name. Okay, logical name, just assume it is a logical name, nothing is there. Okay, so we don't know where exactly the JSP location is there. So but that no internal resource reserve where exactly that JSP is available. So what it will do is it will add that prefix. Okay, for that logical name this will add it. Okay, this will add it and dot JSP at the suffix. Then it will check inside that, go to WebINF, go to views, go to welcome.jsp. Then it will identify that the JSP name. Based on that internal resource view resolver, based on that only it will identify the exact location of JSP. Okay. Now go to, now there is some compatibility issues. I'm facing a lot of issues. Let me, same code here. Next start, click on welcome. Now go to, it will go to welcome controller. Okay, now where is that? Yeah, click here. Yeah, see it is inside welcome.jsp. So I'm displaying of message. What this message contains? It is there inside the model attribute. Okay, it is there inside model attribute. So see that mv.add object of message. What this is just as a key. This is the value. Just as a, this is a key and this is a value. Okay, we are keeping inside some object that is called a model object. We are keeping, what is the use of model? I told you in the above. What is the use of model? Model is the class which holds the data to transfer between view and controller. What is mean by view? V means JSP. Okay, or vice versa, to transfer the data between controller to JSP and JSP to controller will use of model object. Okay, now sorry, now so exactly same, exactly how exactly I don't want of this XML and I don't want of this web.xml file, I don't want both. Then so how to do that, how to do that, we know little bit, we know little bit in case of Spring Core, but in case of Spring MVC, in case of Spring MVC, we need to add up one Java configuration. Okay. Now see, no XML, no XML, right or not? There is no XML. Only there is no dispatcher selected XML and there is no web.xml file, right or not? But still it should work. How means we are adding that configuration inside, we are adding that configuration inside same code. Okay, it is a different project, guys. This is a different project, Java based. Inside that, we are adding up config. Before we are adding up app configuration, right? By using up at configuration. But in case of Spring MVC, we need to use of enable web MVC. Enable web MVC annotations. We need to enable that. We need to enable that annotation instead of at configuration. And one more thing is, this is to scan the components, the controller service and DO layer. To scan the components, we need to use of this package. And one more thing, inside that dispatcher select.xml file, we are added of internal view resource resolver, correct or not? Let me, where is that? So this is the web. This file is the replacement for this file. This file is replacement for dispatcher hyphen servlet.xml file. This xml file I am replacing by using web dot web config, by using web config. So what annotations, new annotations that we are seeing now? Enable web MVC, to enable this, make it as a web project. Okay, inside that, we are added up some new dependency. What is that? Internal resource view resolver, to identify the physical location of JSP. This object is compulsory required to the servlet. So for that, this is also like a bean. We are creating one bean object, internal resource view resolver. So create that object of that and set view class is JSTL view. Internally it will use of some JSTL view class, and this prefix and suffix is common. Whatever that is part of this one, we need to prefix and suffix of the properties of that class. We need to use of set this value inside, directly inside, by using set prefix for the value, set suffix for that .jsp. Okay, now along with this, we need to use of web.xml file. We have, now we are replaced that dispatcher hyphen select.xml file with web config, web config file. But still we need to replace of web.xml file, replacement is still pending. For that also we need to create up one more class, that will call it as a servlet initializer. Servlet initializer. Okay, inside this web.xml file, what is there? Only servlet, right? Correct or not? We need to initialize the servlet. So for that, I'm going to write one class is servlet initializer. Servlet initializer. So this is going to extend of some abstract annotation config dispatcher servlet initializer class. It has some methods, that is also extending of some different classes. Now and abstract dispatcher servlet initializer. So like this, it is extract, it is extending of multiple classes until it is web config adapter, until web application initializer, yeah, web application initializer class. So it will load that. Even directly we can use this also. Okay, but already we have a Spring people provided one class, that is abstract annotation config dispatcher servlet initializer class. It contains of some class, some methods. Leave it about all the methods, only we need of these two methods. What is the purpose of these two methods? Means the servlet internally it should start the configuration file also, right? So for that, get servlet config classes, where exactly you configured the your configurations of your dispatcher servlet. So that I have done inside web config class. If we have multiple, then we can add up multiple classes here. That is, there is a class array. Okay, this method is to load the web application config files. And one more inside web.xml file, we have a servlet mapping. We have a servlet mapping. URL pattern is slash is there. This we can replace by using a method called get servlet mappings. Get servlet mappings. It can take off multiple patterns also, but for time being I'm using of string new string array of slash I'm taking. Okay, now let's set delete these two. We no need to create this. Let me delete it. If you are extending this class name, simply extend the giving this class name, it will give some error here. Okay, just to keep the cursor here, it is giving of or else keep here also. Add unimplemented methods, click on that link, it will generate that methods. We don't need to write it, it will generate those methods. Our work is only to add here one line. Okay, our work is only to add up. Our work is only to web configuration files is for this class is return our web config file. And what is the URL pattern of this dispatcher servlet inside web.xml file? It is of slash is there. I need to configure that slash URL pattern inside here. How to do that means return new string of, we can configure of multiple also. Okay, just add that, remove this existing one which is there. Now configuration is ready. This is for our what is the replacement for this guys? This Java class is replacement for what? No. This Java class is replacement for configuration file. Dispatcher hyphen servlet.xml file is there, right? Or beans.xml file or config.xml file in case of Spring Core is there, right? For that, in case of Spring MVC, we'll use a dispatcher hyphen servlet. For this, the replacement is web config file. Okay, and for the web.xml file, the replacement is servlet initializer class. Servlet initializer class to load up the dispatcher servlet with some default URL pattern. Now let's close this, stop it. Now let's close this also. Okay, now off. Okay, now let's run it and see guys, this doesn't have only two configuration files and no XML files. Okay, dispatcher servlet is not there, web.xml file is not there, but still it will run. We are using a Java based. Now what is this inside this controller? Click, see Spring MVC Java based web app, or else you can use a, so click on this. See, welcome to Spring MVC. This message is stored inside our welcome controller. Our welcome controller. This is for converting XML to Java. Now we'll go and see one project. I will go and see one project with database. Okay. Is it clear, guys? Converting XML to Java. Okay, Spring MVC. And this is the step by steps I have given 5 steps for Spring MVC flow means just read this one. Okay, now close this one. Now close off all. Now go to some MVC application. Go to some MVC application. So now create it. So one thing here I created of a dynamic web project, guys. The reason is there is some compatibility versions are coming in case of while connecting with database, Oracle database. That is the reason I created of a dynamic web project. Okay, not Maven project. I created of a dynamic web project for Spring MVC with Hibernate template. Okay, now let's go on. So how to create a dynamic web project means, let's sample. I will show you. Click on dynamic web project. First, dynamic web project. Web project. Okay. So don't do any other modifications. Click on next. Click on next. If you want, give this XML. It will generate the web.xml file, and then click on finish. See, it is created of the JSP project. That's what in this case I have created. Okay. Now, in case of dynamic project, we don't have Maven file. We need to add up all the dependencies inside lib folder. Inside lib folder, we need to add up all these jars. Okay, to work that. Now, sorry. Now go to Java classes. Now what I have done. First, we will go and start the web.xml file. What web.xml file? Any difference is there in the web.xml file, guys? For the previous and now, no difference. Okay, this is common. Now, in case of dispatcher servlet, in case of dispatcher servlet, so have you seen this one? Context colon component scan to scan all the layers, control layer, service layer, and DAO layer. We have used this component hyphen scan package, right or not? We didn't use this one. Okay, if not means, yeah, why do we need means, in case of classes, controller class, service class, and DO classes, we will write, right? So internally, if we are adding this annotation, if we are adding, instead of writing of the bean id with the class and the dependencies, instead of that I'm adding of this context colon component scan, then container will scan all the classes under this package, and it will register as a beans. It will register the controller class name as a bean name. Okay, so instead of writing, let me go to D drive, Java training, tool batch, spring spring workspace. In case of spring, any will go for, yeah, not this XML base. Go here inside, yeah, go inside config class. Yeah, here what we have written, here we have written of employee service. Okay, inside dependent, this is the class name, this is the bin id. In the employee service is depending on employee DAO class. Okay, so to remove this one directly, I can remove this one, context colon component hyphen scan. I can give off this package only up to this com.ibc.service.impl means, then internally container will create the dependency automatically. For that we no need to create it. So for that I have created of component hyphen scan. Okay, for we have three layers is there. One is the controller layer, service layer, and DAO layer. For three I have added that. Okay, it is to remove that configuration of specific controller class, service class, and DAO classes directly by using of at a component scan. We can remove that configuration. For that purpose, directly I have added this tag. Okay. Now next, this already we have seen that, right or not? This have seen, right? Correct or not? This is to enable the annotations, guys. So which annotations means controller? Let's say customer controller. If the class is annotated with at controller, okay, at class is annotated with at controller or with at service or at DAO. If the class is annotated with any of these things, then we need of second, where is that? Yeah, where is that? Yeah, this class is annotated with at controller. Go to at service. Go to some implementation class. This also will be annotated with at service. Okay, and this DAO is implementation also annotated with some, go on top, some annotation. So to read these components by the container automatically, if this annotation is seen by the container, then automatically it will register that class as a beans. Okay, for that we are added of this three component scans for control layer, for service layer, and for DAO layer. Okay, the next part is, so do we need to explain about this data source, guys? This already we have seen, right? And what about the Hibernate template? This already we have seen or not? And what about the session factory? Session factory also we have seen, right? But before we are used packages to scan, we are used the property, right? Packages to scan we are used. For that we are used of the model class package. In this case we use of annotated classes. Annotated classes we have used. Given anything we can use it. So this is of our entity class. Okay. So whatever the classes we are annotating with annotated classes property. Then for that classes in the database, if the tables is there, then it will create. If not there, it will create the database. It will create in the database. If it is already there, it will ignore it. Okay. These properties also we have seen. Correct or not? All these hybrid properties. This is only new one. Instead of packages to scan, instead of packages to scan, we use of some packages to scan, I think, right? See, right or not, guys? See, local session factory bean. This is the example which Hibernate template, guys. Okay, Hibernate template in Spring Core. The same, instead of in annotated classes, before now we are using of annotated classes instead of packages to scan. Both will work as same. Okay, to create the tables in the database which are contains inside this package. Okay, directly here we have given the package name, but here we are giving with classes also, with the class, not with the package, guys. With the class we are giving here, with the class name also we are giving, but here we are giving only com.ibc.model, only the package name we are giving. But in case of annotated classes we are giving up with the class name, with the entity class name. Okay, that is only the change. Now, and this is to write the operations. Okay, some extra property. This is not that much important, this one. Okay, now after this is the database data, database properties which we are loading dynamically. And there are some messages, custom messages, validation messages, okay, that we are, this will read, this will be written by the container based on, let me show you for example. Let me show you the example. Go to customer class. So inside customer class, so did you see any new things, guys, here? Yes, obviously you are seeing some new annotations. Okay, what is those annotations means? I think, did you see this one, at entity and at table, and at id and at generated value, at column also we have seen, and we didn't see at not null and at size. Correct or not? We didn't see this one. So what we are doing in this case, so these are the annotations to make the property as not null. Okay, if it is nullable, then I want to throw the error. If it is a nullable, then I want to throw error message. back to the client, back to client. Then how it is going to take means, go to messages dot properties file, not empty, it will go take as not null means it will take as not empty. Okay, and student student bin, if it is a student class, one more is there. One second, this is for student related one. One second, one more is also there. Let's for time being leave it up this. Let me, I'll explain more about this properties file. Okay, for time being leave it. Okay, this not null annotation size is whenever you are inserting the data for this specific column. Okay, if it is giving as empty, then it will throw the error, the field is required. Okay, what is that size? If you are giving single character, then two characters minimum is required. It is saying of at a size minimum is two characters. Okay, like that I have given for all. Okay, and column name is also email, everything is I have given, there is no new things. Not null and size is given to make the field as not nullable, compulsory, it is a mandatory. Okay, now let's start it. See, what is the default? It is displaying some JSP with three links. Now let's see what is the default JSP. What is with slash? Is there anything is there? First it will go and check inside home controller, any controller with slash. What is the JSP it is executing? Index.jsp. Let's search for index.jsp. Now close off the other components. It's causing some issues. Okay, so inside this JSP, what is there, guys? Yeah, see, we have three links. Correct or not? Add customer, view customer list, login customer. Correct or not? Add customer, view customer list, login customer. So for each link there is separate action will happen, right or not? For each link separate, if I am clicking on add customer, it is go and check off, it will take this URL. Okay, it will check inside customer controller. Inside, first on top of class we have a request mapping with this one is there. So for every method slash customer URL will add by default. Along with that, the method level also will add slash customer form, right? Slash customer form. Then in this case, it will execute of. Then it will in that case it will execute of the first one, right? Add customer. So at the time of add customer, I am adding up the customer object. What it contains? ID, first name, last name, okay, and email and password. Okay, these are the fields. Inside this, go to controller, and that object I created one object. That object I am keeping inside model attribute. The purpose of model attribute is to transfer the data between view to controller and controller to view. Whatever the properties that are part of customer class. So with the same fields, if it is there in the JSP, while submitting data, all the data will come to controller class. Now let's let's click this one, add customer. So it is executed of this method. It executed this method and displayed that customer form. Customer form. So now open this. So it contains of, there is a model attribute inside. There is a model attribute. What is the value whatever you are giving inside customer method? Compulsory this and this must be same. Otherwise it will give error. Okay, compulsory this two must be same. Other data cannot transfer between model and view, model and controller. And so see all are, if the id is there, then it will be in the hidden mode. Leave it about that for timing. So we are creating a new customer, right? For that there is no id, right? That is the reason it is giving up. I'm keeping inside hidden field, so otherwise it will show that. Okay, if I'm keeping it is not hidden means, then that field will be showed here. Okay, that is the reason. If I'm keeping as hidden, that is the reason it is not showing that property. Now next, where is that? Yeah, first name, last name. Okay, if any errors is there, form colon errors, this is of spring form, this is of spring form, spring, this is of spring form, spring related tag libraries, JSTL tag libraries is there, right? In the same way spring also having some tag libraries. Okay, to display the form and to make the keep the relation between model attribute and the controller, we have spring form tags is there. By using that we can keep the relation between the model attribute and with the controller. Now let's click on Rama. Okay, okay, just to click on save. It is saying it is required, right? Like that we need to, it is giving off at gmail.com and password is Rama. Click on save. So it went to the database. Okay. On click on save. On click on save. What is happening? Save customer method is calling. Save customer method is calling. Go to controller class. Go to controller control O. Save method. Save customer method is calling internally. What it is doing? At the customer, at the model attribute annotation is there. It will do validation as well as both it will do. Okay, if it is any errors is there, the binding result will take all the result of errors and it will return back to the customer form again. If there is no errors, then it will go to the service layer, save customer with that data whatever that we are entered, go to from where is that service layer, and from service layer it is going to DAO layer. I'm doing of, this is the DAO layer. If you want, if you want, yeah, here customer DAO class, inside this Hibernate template only I'm using. Okay, now come down, save customer. Simply in the single line, Hibernate template dot save of customer object. Already we are receiving of customer object from the JSP page. Same object directly I'm storing inside J in the database directly. Now let's go and see that. See, directly it is showing up list of customers. Now where is controller? So after saving that, I'm redirecting that request to, redirecting to slash customer slash list. It will read list from the database. It will pick all, once it is saved, then it will get all the data from the employees, all the customers from the database, and then it will move the redirect to different, it will redirect to different method directly here only. Go to list method, list method, then go to search somewhere, list method must be there. Yeah, see this. So this method will execute directly from here. If you are writing this line, it is redirecting, once it is saved the database inside database, that customer, it is redirecting that request to list method. It is redirecting request to list method. What list method is doing? It is calling to database again and getting of all the customer information and loading of all. The meaning is load of all. That's what it is displaying in. That's what it is displaying here. Okay. If you want to update, then there is a method. If you want to see the view source at the line, or else if you are going to take this, go to, yeah, click here. Now right now Just click on, or else press F12 button. Press F12 and click on this arrow button. If you keep here, it will show the action. It will show the action. What is this action here, guys? Update customer. Right? Right or not? Then it will go to the controller with is there any method is annotated with at controller or not. Is there any method is annotated with update customer? Then with that with internal it is passing off some value also. One second, some id also it will pass it. See what is some id also, customer id is also passing. Is are you able to see? Customer id equal to 5 is passing, right? So this value also will come to, this value also will come to this method. Okay, as part of request param. If you are using request param as part of request uri, if any parameter name value with customer id is there, that value we can get. Customer id equal to 5 is there. Here the attribute is also at request param of customer id, right? So whatever the value that is here, that value will pick it here. Okay, and the rest of the data also will pick it. The model object I have added with this customer id, it will go to the database. It will go to database, get of customer come with customer id of 5. It will load that data. Okay, it will load that data. Let's see, if I'm clicking on this, it will load with the data. Password is not displaying, it's not correct, right? It will not display password. And let's say if I'm modifying sri instead of that sre. Okay, just click on save. Now go on, it is saved. Okay, click on list now. One second, why it is not saved? Let's click on here. Puja M. See that? Are you able to see? It is updated with the details, right? Right or not? Before it is Puja. Now Puja M and SRI EEW is added. Now if you want to delete that, now just debug the code. Go to click on F12. Okay, click on this arrow. Now you can see which method it is calling. It will show that. Which method it is calling, guys? Delete customer with customer ID is 54, right? Now go and go to customer controller and control O delete method. It will check for the method inside the controller delete customer. The value of customer ID is 54. That value also will come to this method. Okay, then if it is there, then internally it will delete that method. Go to DAO, execute that hibernate template dot delete of this customer. Okay, after deleting this customer, to where I am redirecting, to again list it, delete the data, and then whatever the rest of the customers is there, display that data. Okay, now close this. Now let's say first delete it. So if I'm deleting this one, so again with how many records is there in the database? No, how many records will be pending in the database? Two, right? Let's delete that, and it is asking to delete that. Are you sure want to delete this customer? Yes. See, deleted, and again it will go to the database and fetch the latest records what is there in the database, and that is it is displaying here. Okay. Now, if you want to search based on email, based on email. Now, click on this. So inside this field, what I am doing? Click on view source code. Okay. inside this add button, sorry, search button, right? Search button. Yeah, this is the search customer, right or not? Search customer colon. In this field, I'm giving off one email and I'm clicking on search button. So on click on search button, it is going to which method? Action is post method. The method action is search. Action is this method is post only, correct. But the action is which method it should go means it go and search for the action method. Action whatever the value is there, go to controller, control O, search. Yes, here it will take the request parameter contains of which one? We entered email, right? With that email, I'm searching is there any database in the data in the database for that email ID. Okay, it is searching service layer and calling to DAO layer. Inside DAO layer, I'm calling using of criteria. Directly we can't use criteria. So we use of detached criteria object for the on top of customer class. Okay. On where class is on where email address is which we have entered here. Which we have entered kumar at gmail.com. Okay. With that, is there any data is available? If data is there, then it will return the list of data with if it is there. Now click on search it. Is it searching or not? Search also. Hello. No. Now if you want to add the customer again, from here also click on add customer. Okay. Let's say Mahesh. Okay. Mahesh at gmail.com. Mahesh. Click on save. Okay. Now Mahesh is added. Now go back to home page. Okay. If you want to click on view customers, click on view customers. Go back home page. Click on login customers. So in the login page, what you are giving? Email and password. Two things I am giving. Let's go to database. So password of let's take Mahesh and password is also Mahesh. Okay, let's take Mahesh at gmail.com and Mahesh is password. Let's try for wrong password. Okay, let's try for I am giving up some wrong password. Is it logging? No, right? Now let me enter correct password. Is it giving or not? So what I'm doing, if it is a correct password means I'm telling check the login. If it is a correct password means then move to the home page. Okay, move to the page which is there in the customer list. Now check login. Here it is going to return true, right? Go to customer class, check login control O, login customer. So once login is done, login login process. So if the valid user means where I am transferring this request to customer list. If it is a wrong one means to the same page, right or not? If the customer is there in the database means it will return true. If it is a true means I'm redirecting to list of customers which is having all the customers. Okay. If it is a wrong one means then again directly let's go back to home. If I'm simply giving some details, it is going to come back to again login page, correct or not? But if you are giving correct details, then it is going to customer list page. Okay, that means that the validation is happening. Okay. Yeah, this is what the Spring MVC you can play around it, guys. And one more thing, so there may be a lot of issues will come if you are using of Maven. Okay, if you are using Maven, you'll get a lot of issues. So for time being, you can use of this one, but mostly we'll use of Spring Boot. Okay, in Spring Boot that compatibility versions will be all will be gone, because we are only adding one dependency. The list of the dependencies will be taken by Spring Boot, will take care of itself. We no need to add all the dependencies. But in case of one second, yeah, see how many jars I have added. See, we had a lot of jars, right? But in case of Spring Boot, if you are adding single web dependency, it will download of 100 jars. The all dependent jars will be downloaded by itself. We no need to add ourselves. Is it okay, guys? For time, yes, yeah. Even I tried a lot to get through Maven, okay, but lot of the Maven compatibility versions are there. The jar compatibility versions are, I face a lot of issues, okay. That is the reason I have created project using dynamic project. Okay, I will do one more thing. Tomorrow I will 10 to 20 minutes, around or 20 to 30 minutes also, I will explain the same project again, and I'll explain one Spring REST project. Spring REST. One RESTful web services will create it. That is also one important along with web services, guys. That is web service project. Web services. No need of this login page, all those things. That we can test through Postman or JMeter. No UI. Okay. Actually, the Spring MVC means up to this only, guys. But in the companies will use RESTful web services also. Okay. If it is a RESTful web service, did you work on RESTful web services? Means you people need to tell of yes, I worked on Spring REST. Just say like Spring. There are many things is there using to develop the RESTful web services. But you people will say like I worked on Spring REST. For that purpose, I am going to tell one project for card related application tomorrow with using RESTful web services. No UI code. Okay, no JSPs. Only controller, service layer, DAO layer only will come. That how to test that one? By using a Postman tool. By using of some tool we need to test it, not by using browser. Not by using browser. Tomorrow I'll repeat once again, guys. Maybe it will be confusion. I'll repeat it tomorrow once again, this project, same project. Is it okay? For better understanding. Okay. Okay, guys, we'll meet tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, please. Yeah, please. Yeah. HQL query. Yeah. Yeah. How to insert using HQL? Yes, mostly HQL and yes. Okay. So directly run that. You mean of that SQL file is there? I have given some data, right? If you have that one, just run that code directly. Is it giving any error? It's not inserting data. Which database you are using? No, no, database, which the Oracle database or MySQL, or I think it is depending only for Oracle only, which the script which I have given, not for MySQL. Oracle only. Then we'll see. Just tomorrow join 10 minutes before. I'll show you that one. Okay? I'll show you that tomorrow. Join before 10 minutes. Okay? We'll discuss that. Yeah. Thank you, guys.